kid from Columbus with a spray can dream.
This is the ADOTAT Show. My guest today owned a record label in high school, did graffiti on the side, accidentally became a UX designer, and built Roku apps before anyone knew what a Roku was. Now he runs a marketing agency, publishes The Streaming Wars, and raps about the media industry on LinkedIn. Kirby Grimes, on the show today.
I'm Pesach Lattin. This is the ADOTAT Show. Today I've got Kirby Grimes, the man who helped build some of the first streaming TV apps on the planet, co-founded Roku's first development partner, and now publishes The Streaming Wars while running a marketing agency. He has also never seen Star Wars. Kirby, we kind of need to talk here. So welcome to the show. First of all, how are you? And I have to say, before we can get started, you basically wrote the run of show for me in your questionnaire. You're the first guest who's actually given me a more detailed production brief than my own staff. So clearly, the content marketing brain never turns off. But let's dive in, because you hit on something in your questionnaire that I've been ranting about publicly. The state of digital publishing and advertising. You mentioned my LinkedIn post about recipe sites being completely unusable because of garbage ads. And you're right, it is broken. So as someone who is building a digital publication with the Streaming Wars, and as someone who spent a decade building the apps that deliver streaming content, what is actually wrong with ad-supported digital publishing in 2026?
Man, a lot of things. First of all, thank you for having me on. Second of all, like everything leading up to this moment right now that you've done with the show and just your show in general, it's good stuff, man. I'm so happy to be here. The question about ad support. So first of all, like, let me start here. Like, I was at the NAB show last year, and at this point, a lot of people know my name. And what I learned is a lot of people don't know what I do or what I'm currently doing. Like I fielded all sorts of questions from, I know you, but what do you actually do? Or talking about my marketing company, 4320, I had questions like, hey, you're all about this streaming war stuff. You just quit 4320. And I'm like, if I'm putting this out in the market, we gotta fix it. And really, I do two things. I do one thing, two or three ways. And like everything I'm doing, whether it's content we're putting out or just running the streaming wars, to the marketing and brand positioning firm I have with 4320, to I'll do very selective consulting gigs. Like essentially they're all aligned to the same one thing. And that's my experience. You mentioned getting in with Roku. I built a B2B company in the media entertainment space. It was called Flow Left. We were founded in 2009, right when Roku spun out on Netflix. And like B2B technology company within the media entertainment space is my blood. So that thing that I do, with no matter what I'm doing and how I'm tackling it, is I want to align myself with B2B companies doing cool, or can we swear? Cool stuff, products or services that want to just be seen, get noticed in the sea of noise and vendors in 2026. And how I do that from a consulting perspective. And again, I do these things very selectively. I don't do much consulting, but it's like go-to-market strategy. 4320 is marketing brand positioning. Like, what are we telling the market? What materials and collateral do you need? And all that stuff lives with the corporation. Like, you won't even know me or my team are working on this stuff. We're behind the scenes. And then the Streaming Wars is built on this premise that I've taken a stand on ad-supported trade publication, at least mine. When I think about the context of what I do and who I care about, it's B2B companies in the media technology space. And what that means and why this is important with this ad-supported component in this conversation is we're not talking about a coffee subscription box it's an impulse purchase of like $99 a year and whatever, sign up, click, forget about it. We're talking about like $1 million enterprise solutions that just nothing's going to happen from a display ad. And so what I want to do is rather take what would traditionally be a display ad, like best Roku app development company. Like it's intrusive. It's intrusive to like the people I have writing. Or myself if I'm writing, nobody wants asshole in their content. They spent hours researching. Readers don't want it, half of which are probably running ad blockers. And what I want to do is just flip that. Like instead of like being intrusive, like with the display ad saying we're the best, realizing that it's also not performing for the marketers. This goes back to like I've been doing marketing for quite a while in the context of these types of companies. It just doesn't work for anybody in the equation. So I want to flip that. Like I don't want your display ads on the site. Nobody wants it, but I want you to connect with the audience as well. So what I'm doing is building a model that's it's like a content partnership that we run with companies to get them involved in the discussion, adding to the discussion, adding to the community through great content and not being a display ad that people don't want.
So what do you think the problem really is? Is it the number of ads, the quality of ads, the placement?
Yeah, first
What's
of all,
the biggest problem you think with the ads?
Mix of all these things. I want to go to your recipe thing for a minute here. Like it's a mix of all things. First of all, like the companies we're talking about here, they're ad supported businesses. Like it's no knock to anybody over there, wherever there that is. But like we're talking about like just ad supported organizations when like two things are like not popping right now, which was like the perfect time for me to start one. I say that tongue in cheek, but like digital publishing's not hot right now, like in terms of like relative to the last 10 years. Also, media entertainment's not too great either. And so I think it's interesting. Like 18 months ago, I started a digital publishing company about the media entertainment space. But like, so I don't fault the fact that we have an advertisement every 50 words in an article. Like that's real math. Like I go and look at these things. It's crazy. It's too many ads. But the reason it's too many ads is because there's struggling businesses like big corporations. You need to keep money coming in. What do you do when you're not supported business? You jam more ads in there. But the result, the product, and like ultimately like what I went to school for and who I am. Like I've done a lot of things in the industry at this point. Like what I actually paid money to go to school for is like user experience. Ultimately, I look at this thing as a user experience. It's not great in my opinion. I get why it's there. I don't fault anybody.
Yeah,
but
I don't go to. I'm probably the worst example. I love the open web, but I never use it.
Yeah,
I mean, I decided, I knew if I went to a recipe site, I knew I would get that because recipe sites are probably the worst example. But I can't say besides CNN and maybe ABC and a few other sites that I actually use on a day-to-day basis besides my own. And then, of course, the B2B stuff is an exception. But as a consumer, I don't think I go to websites anymore.
Yeah. And then how important, like somebody made a comment on your LinkedIn post, like, something about like, well, nobody really cares to fix things or something like that. And like, also the question, I had this with somebody yesterday, like they got my stance on what I'm trying to build. And like, ultimately, like I made the comment, like, does it matter? Meaning like banner blindness is a thing. Like there are banners on the ad. People tune them out. That's part of the problem I'm trying to convey here. But also like how big of a deal is it? Like, yeah, so what? There's like 50 ads on the screen. I had to fill out a healthcare skin quiz just to read what's the latest with Warner Brothers Discovery. You know what? I don't pay attention to it anyway. How big of a deal is this really? We're going to find out. Like that's kind of what I'm doing with Streaming Wars. Had all the pieces kind of laying around in Frankenstein bits to stand up a digital publication. Like it's a newsletter I've been running for last 8 years. It wasn't until like a year and a half ago that I really kind of look at what I have and what this could become. And I'm like, we got all the pieces to run as a trade publication. Let's give it a go and see where this goes. Not because we identified like as like a necessarily a huge gap that needed to be filled and there's promise of like what that means, but it's like, this is what we have. We could do this and we have a unique stance and I love the content and stuff we're putting out and the perspectives, and let's see where it goes. Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to put my foot on the gas and we're going to find out together.
So you mentioned the idea of interruption versus ambient moments in advertising and said that TV ads work different than display. Digital out of home and pause ads are in the same category, and most people misclassify all ad formats. That's generally an interesting framework. Could you break this down to me? What is an interruption? What is an ambient moment? And why does a distinction matter for how we build advertising products?
Yeah, man, I have to give you the credit for this whole thing because like I've told you many times in our conversations, like I'm not an ad tech guy or whatever I said. Like I don't spend my time in advertising. I mean, a lot of times just being in the TV or software, whatever part of the business I'm in, like it always comes up. People ask questions and are like, I have opinions on certain aspects of advertising in general, but I always make sure to like put out, like, I can't go down certain rabbit holes. But like that said, I do think about advertising probably more than I realize. And so this whole like exercise of thinking about different attention states and cognitive states in advertising, it's all kind of just based on my one of my last conversations with you. Like, for example, like it was a couple of Fridays ago, I was driving to get pizza up in North Palm Beach, Florida. So I took the highway 95, and there was an ad, tweed suits. It just stands out to me. Like, it's interesting. And that moment made me think about advertising. And then and then also having ADD really helps, because like one thought kind of like thinks it leans into another. It's like ads in general, if I'm intrusive. Like, there's nothing more intrusive than like the middle of a story arc of a drama, and like, boom, here's an ad, like contextual or not, like as an interruption, like call it what it is. And the market would say, well, it's a necessary evil. And I get all that. And then I've been around long enough to read every version of the story. People hate advertising. And the counterpart story, people don't hate advertising. They just hate that advertising. Like, I've read all those. We've read all those. And obviously, I think we all agree that contextualization is important. Like, obviously, everybody would agree they want more relevant ads, and their speaking language would help too. An ad that's not 5 times in a row would even be better. Everybody agree that's great. Contextualization is a great thing. But it got my head thinking, like, why do I think certain ways about like digital out-of-home ads, that billboard? Why do I feel a certain way about pause ads, which I generally love pause ads, and in a house with 2 kids, and I'm sure everybody listening probably attests to this. I'm not done any like research, like the use of pause ads. Like, dude, it takes us like 6 hours to watch a 90-minute movie. Like, that pause is like a constant thing. Like, dog needs to get on.
It takes me weeks sometimes.
Dude, it's crazy.
I know what you mean with kids and stuff. And once you have kids in your life changes completely. Like, I don't watch that much TV, but to get a movie finished in this household is almost impossible.
And deserves a pat on the back when you finally do finish it. But like, the pause ad, I love. So like, why do I like, I've written in the past about pause ad, that mainly to just get my own thoughts out. What am I thinking? Why do I feel this way?
If last touch attribution worked, your waiter would get full credit for the meal. We make sure the chef gets credit too. Incremental.
Is there like any like, this is where I love ad people to chime in on these kind of thoughts. Like, what is going on here? Like, I don't look at the data. I don't know I know there's something interesting happening here. There's something unique about the billboard ad. Display ads, I told you my stance on that. Like, mid-rolls and stuff, a little more intrusive. And then like, there's been talk, and still should be talk on contextualization. 100% agree on that. But my mind last week was around like the cognitive
the contextual
states.
ads are between the problem. These are the 2 problems. Are the first part is that the metadata. So if it's running on metadata, it doesn't mean it naturally matches. Because, for example, a gun show could be violent, or someone protesting guns.
Could be about bodybuilding,
And right. And then the other issue is that the companies that are doing it requires the shows to say we're okay with the dynamic ads to be put in. So you have to go to each show and each creator. You can't just go to Netflix, because Netflix doesn't have the right to put the ads in the show. They have the right to put ads around the show, but not all of them, as you know. So the other issues is that everyone I've talked to, all these dynamic creatives don't work because it's so expensive to get it started. And then the show plays and that's it. You show the ad, it's once, it costs you all this money to figure out, and it's a one-time thing. And that's the problem with the dynamic ads, is just between you and me.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned, I guess,
real quick, just to kind of finish that thought on this, and I invite anybody to check out this article I wrote it was yesterday. It basically kind of breaking down advertising into like 3 cognitive buckets. One being ambient intention, like when you're driving, walking, waiting. Like when I was driving, I saw that tweeds, men's suits ad on the billboard, or like when you're walking in a city, an ad for a
Did you get one?
New
Do you
season
have a tweed
on.
Suit now?
I don't, so I can't say it worked.
That would have been awesome.
It's kind of
you missed out some branding there.
I did. Like also like at the same time too, last week when I was like putting these thoughts together, like Gary Vaynerchuk does some posts about how like it's a no brainer that Super Bowl ads $10 million. It's like all this reach, all this exposure. And then my thought, just not being an ad guy really, just as a thinker but as a marketer, is like, I'm always curious, like, is that worth it though? Like exposures, like I also in this article I break down like advertising is measured on exposure, reach, and frequency. But like, what about like success, ROI? Like, obviously that's important. And also, like, I will also defend qualitative advertising too. But like, it was just like a think piece to get this thought out, and just like breaking down into 3 cognitive states: ambient, attention, which what we're talking about, the tweet suits. And it was like immersive. I'm watching a show or a movie, something I'm like traditionally we all call lean back, like immersive, where any disruption is going to be quite disruptive. But then there's like the ultimate offender, and where I think advertising just going to underperform, especially in the context of like B2B companies in the media and entertainment space. And that's like task-based attention, being like, I'm trying to go on this website to read the latest on Warner Brothers Discovery, or this new killer article that one of us created, or I'm looking for a recipe, or I'm trying to book an airline. Task-based attention. And in my opinion, like there's nothing more disruptive to that than ads on your screen. So to the recipe point, there's a huge offender. Like, dude, I love that I have the jump the recipe buttons now. Because it's terrible with the recipe with stuff included. But ChatGPT with recipes is pretty great. No ads. Yeah.
Agreed. I use it like I can go to ChatGPT and go, I have this in my refrigerator. What can I make? It's not always great, but it's still better than what I'd figure out.
Yeah.
You also dropped that we could chat about is YouTube TV actually TV? That post got me in trouble with Evan Shapiro once. So let's get in it. Is it television? Because this question has massive implications on how advertising is sold, measured in price. If YouTube is TV, it competes for TV budget. If it's not, if it's just digital, it gets priced accordingly. Where do you land, and who is lying about the answer?
Yeah, sure. First of all, when I was reading, I wrote that. I was like, oh man, I hope we don't talk about that. But I'm glad. We'll talk about also to answer your question. What can we not talk about? Like, dude, we talk about everything here. So I'm glad you brought it up. There is no right answer. I don't think anybody's lying. I think you and I might be on the same page. Like, we're saying the same stuff. We're just coming from a different lens. Like, it's simple.
I don't think it matters. Why do you have to call it anything? It's
honestly, it doesn't matter.
It could be. I can call it YouTube. We can call it YouTube, but it doesn't need to be YouTube TV.
Here's like,
it can be priced as YouTube.
I think the streaming wars first tried to stay out of the whole thing, just because, I don't know, it's just like easy, kind of like, I don't know, like, is this what we're talking about? It reminds me of like back in 2009 when we were debating at trade shows, like, is the future live linear or on demand? Like, bro, it's both. Like you could slice this any way. Like, what's with these silly conversations? And then we have a guy that writes for us, Skip. He addressed it first, and he basically said YouTube's TV. And then that landed on the obvious. And now I know why he created his articles. Like, people engage all over it. And then I wrote one. So the answer is like, I think YouTube is TV because it is TV. Second, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Third, I'm not really invested in this debate so much anymore. Fourth, so Streaming Wars did a collab with one of my shirt brands. We have YouTube TV shirts. I say that because I guess unpacking it, anybody saying that YouTube is not TV is talk about an advertising perspective. That's an advertising conversation. That has nothing to do with TV. That's advertising. And so there's actually something I've been kind of delaying, but kicking the tires on it. But it's a piece of content I want to do either this week or next week, kind of talking about that more. And I already unpacked after our guy Skip did this story. I unpacked basically, hey, YouTube is TV. Headline, but basically explaining why we have two different sides and saying both sides are right. We're just using the wrong scoreboard to look at this silly debate. And then I want to unpack it a little more, basically saying, I don't know yet. That's why I keep kicking the tires yet. But the premise is advertising is advertising, TV is TV. So saying YouTube is not TV from an advertising lens, like, well, we're talking about TV, not advertising here. Is the angle with this. So if somebody wants to beat that out and put it out before we do, we dropped it here first. But like, that's the premise. It's like we're all right. Oh, it's just a different. We're looking at it through a different lens.
So you also said the thing most people get wrong is thought leadership, and you said some people treat it like a mystical intellectual art form. And I find this delicious since you run a content marketing agency and you literally sell the tools that create thought leadership. So you're either really self-aware or you're about to burn down your own business. Which is it? What is thought leadership and what is it not? And why does the industry treat it like it requires a PhD or maybe just a glass of scotch?
I love it. I love this. I love the setup. I even created this phrase just because I like the phrase. And that's it. This phrase of anti-thought leader. Right. And just when I had the phrase, the brain went, oh, well, I don't know if you've seen the logo for the brand Anti-Social Social Club. So basically, I had one of my designer. I had this idea: anti-thought leader, thought leader. because kind of just what you like. It's
do you have a soundtrack for it yet?
Do you know I have a soundtrack for it? So here,
find one in Miami.
Okay, so I'll answer all this. This is great stuff. So I just created this idea of anti-thought leader, because of what you mentioned. It's just, and what I said, it's this mythological intellectual art form. It's this like holy grail of content nirvana. When you get there, everything's golden, and all the leads are going to come, and all that's great. So I just created this like phrase, just like it was a fleeting thought, anti-thought leader, thought leader. You have my designer mock up a logo. It's just a flip at the Anti-Social Social Club. Printed some shirts, kind of left it at that. But like to answer your question is like, it's not a style of content. It's not this like content nirvana. It's as simple as this. Everybody has earned secrets. Earned secrets I'll describe as like your experience, the lessons, like case studies, like the stuff that lives in your head and in a company setting, your team's head, your subject matter experts team's head, that basically me or my team or anybody can't Google to research or use a large language model to research. It's the content that is not researchable because it lives in the heads of these people. And when you can extract those earned secrets and accumulation of all those earned secrets into content, obviously the content's got to be great too. That's thought leadership. That's all it is extracting these earned secrets. We all have it into content. Now the challenge with this is it's easy.
So you also built a personal brand in the stream industry that people actually pay for or pay attention to. You post on LinkedIn, you publish the streaming wars, you describe it as charismatic and cool, and someone who sometimes raps about the industry. That's not an accident. That is actually a strategy. Can you walk me how you built the Kirby Grimes brand, and not the theory, the actual steps, the actual decisions, and the actual things that you did that moved the needle?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on here. And evolution is kind of all in different worlds and silos I've kind of lived in that all kind of collide at once. First of all, with the streaming wars, as I mentioned, like we had all the pieces laying around to like build a digital publication. So we thought, well, let's do it. And I have a team of writers that just want to write. And so now with the streaming wars, they can write regardless of any work that's going on 4 through 20. But like the big thing that is driving this whole thing with the streaming wars is in general. First of all, I'll speak to the media entertainment industry, not directly to the advertising industry, but like we power the coolest shit in the world. Like we power Hollywood, we power Bollywood, we power, if you know science fiction films from the 50s and 60s, Ed Wood, we power we power the creator economy. It's the coolest shit that we're doing. Maybe only thing cooler that could possibly be would be the music industry. But I digress. Right. Like it's a cool ass industry, but when the business of it is talked about,
I just interviewed somebody who was in bed with Yoko Ono and Ringo Starr in front of New York City mayor's office, City Hall.
Oh yeah,
that was cool. That's the music industry for you.
That's cool as hell. But like the thing with the reporting and analysis of the industry is it's kind of dry. It's just sometimes a little boring. And there's definitely like great people doing good stuff. Ed Shapiro, Alan Volk, to name a couple, like doing stuff. But like that was also what we wanted to do as content marketers, as storytellers, because sure as hell we're not journalists. And I have a whole internal manifesto like speaking to that. But like what I want to do with the streaming wars, I want to build a place. Like first of all, I want to be bold. I want to be irreverent. Like there's so much stuff, and I think the lead into your show, and as well as like when I moderate a panel discussion, it's like everything's so controlled, PR, and so like just so it's like manicured. Ultimately, what I want to do is I want to educate first and foremost. I want to empower and entertain, but also challenge the industry as well. I think like historic journalism, it's not objective, or I'm sorry, it is objective, and it's got to be. I think maybe some of that's breaking, but like ultimately, like when everything's kind of not speaking, when everything's kind of saying the same thing in the same way, what's really the differentiator? And I just wanted to make a place that was more bold, more reverent, and more like human to write about what's going on in the industry. And so that's kind of what we got going on here is for terms of like, how did I bring all these things together? This is actually an NAB show now. Like it's the second time I'm mentioning that show. 2 years ago, I threw a opening night NAB party at a penthouse. In Vegas, great turnout. But after the show, me buddies, colleagues, we were just hanging around, just like chit chatting and doing some karaoke and just rapping. A lot of heavy rap on that on that karaoke playlist. And like, people were like, yo, Kirby, you're pretty good at rapping. Like, yeah, it didn't catch you up, then trip you up. Like, how are you doing Eminem rap god? Like, well, whatever. And then I had conversations with people. Like, I actually used to rap like a long time ago, like 20, 30 years ago. Like, that's what I grew up doing. I used to rap. And then that conversation kind of followed my way through the trade show. And then I had people like ask me questions about this rap stuff. And like, I told them that what I've been doing in the meantime, like prior to this trade show, prior to this conversation, I was sprinkling in baked in the bottom of my LinkedIn posts. I would say if this post, like, it was probably summarizing like my newsletter or something. So like, what's happening in streaming is like, if this gets 200 likes, I will rap next week's version. Well, I never got 200 likes. And basically the premise was, it's a win-win, I guess, for me. It's a win if I can do this to get 200 likes. I guess it's a win because it's not that difficult to create raps. It's like, so let's just do that. And so I was telling people that was kind of the thing I was doing. Nobody noticed. Nobody gave me the 200 likes. And then I left the NAB. I think the next day I recorded the first one. It's like, you know what? Like, we're just going to start rapping again. So I started rapping about bundles. I started rapping about all these moves happening in media entertainment. Like, and people love the stuff. And ultimately that led into me going back to that rap world. And I do have, I'm a full artist and all this stuff. Released a single today, actually, another one on Friday. You mentioned anti-thought leader. There's a song, anti-thought leader. And I mentioned that now because essentially I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of interests. I have different worlds. Like, I have this creative side pre-college. I actually owned a record label in high school. There's this whole creative side of Kirby that lived pre-college, pre-US, pre-getting in the media entertainment space. Like, I was in media entertainment, art, design, music, rap, graffiti, all that stuff. And then there's the corporate business Kirby. It's like, I went to college, UX guy, started this company, entrepreneur. And I kind of kept the two worlds separate because I just thought maybe that's what you're supposed to do. And now at this point, like, I'm just merging all these worlds because it's the only way I can keep all these things going without like dropping the ball on one. If I could just kind of build all around these universes and just merge all these things together. So for example, like anti-thought leader, like, it has some context still, like my thoughts on thought leader and content marketing, but it's also like the artist Kirby's got a song about it. Also, artist Kirby will perform industry like raps, which is very much tied to just me as a quote unquote thought leader in the media entertainment world. It's just having all these, essentially like a Kirby flywheel and just tapping into all these bits and pieces and no longer operating in two different headspaces and two different contexts as creative Kirby, business Kirby. It's like, it's all one thing now. I have a fun fact for you. So this is, as of Monday, not a fun fact, but a fun little relic. This was 23 years ago as of Monday.
Right.
This is me on the front page of the accent section of the Columbus Dispatch, battle rapping.
Nice.
Yeah. So this was me before this is me before, and so were you, by the way. This is me before I did all the corporate stuff, and we're bringing it back. I miss that. Like, ultimately, like, what drives me life, and I love this analogy, is just building things. And in my weird, sick entrepreneur brain, it doesn't matter if that thing is a company that got acquired 10 years after its founding, or I make a pizza from scratch with a 4-day cold fermented dough, or I made a rap song from scratch. Like, the ability to make something from scratch and turn it into something is the coolest thing in life from my perspective. And what that thing actually truly doesn't matter. Like, in my head, starting an app development company, getting acquired is really not a whole lot different than if I made a pizza and I let that dough sit for 4 days, 5 days, and ate that on Monday.
I want to actually talk about that a little bit, about your business. So you also said that the media industry would be more advanced if it was not constantly optimizing for Wall Street. That's a bold statement for a man who was acquired by a public traded company, I believe. You have seen what happens when Wall Street gets hand on a media business. So tell me, what specifically does optimizing for Wall Street look like?
Yes. So fortunately for me, that acquisition didn't affect me in that context at all, in terms of like, now we're working for a publicly traded company. It was around that.
Float Left was acquired by iMedia Brands, correct?
You're right. But I was not part of iMedia Brands once that happened. My business partner, Tom, was on for a bit. So like, I can answer the question, but not under iMedia Brands. But like, around that time, I was doing a lot of consulting. And this is really how 4320 started. It started in no way is relevant to kind of what it does. That was through market demand and evolution. So it started Float Left. We built hundreds of apps. Essentially, we built at least one of really any media companies, either direct to consumer app or TV everywhere app. Like we built it. We probably built it on Roku. That's what most of the business we got. And like we launched everybody's apps. It didn't matter if it was Nickelodeon. I say that only because Nickelodeon is a household brand name, not because they necessarily said this, but can't confirm they didn't. Or like it could be Kirby's Basement Yoga Videos, brand new. I want to be the Netflix of yoga. I just started the business yesterday, sort of thing. Basically, what I'm getting to is the feedback I would get.
Does that exist?
Yeah, but at this point, I'm I'm going forward with all fleeting thoughts. So if it's one I have again, you'll probably see it.
Okay.
But like the feedback was, thanks Kirby for the app. But people aren't really, they're there for 2 minutes or bouncing out. We don't know why. We don't know where they're going. We have all these questions, but like that works. And our engineering team kind of sold us on this idea. If we build it, if it's here, like it will get demand. And like the UX person to me was just like, man, there's probably so many things we can look at and fix together. And there were 3 conversations that I had with my business partner, Tom Schaefer at Float Left. Within Float Left, it's like, can we possibly try to help this? I don't know if this is like UX optimization or like something post-launch, like after we launch the app, like make continual improvements, because all these companies want to like longer, essentially dwell time, longer viewer engagement, more free trials, signups, all this stuff. And the answer, Tom and I concluded, it was just no, because it's already too difficult, or at least it was at the time. Still is to stand up all these apps on all these connected TV mobile platforms. We can now also solve this. So once Float Left was acquired, the idea was a little before, but I started 40 through 20. The premise was, look, I have a UX background. So what I went to school for, the last 10 years I've been building all of your apps across everywhere. And now I want to kind of solve that what's next is you have all these apps and digital experiences out. How do we optimize these experience, the customer journey, user experience, and outside customer journey from a UX perspective? And that was the original idea of 40 through 20. Going back to the question, the initial days was working with a lot of publicly traded media companies, and I never thought of this until that moment. I've had people tell me no on obvious things they should be doing because, well, Wall Street's not going to like that. And this is not a long-term business. We have to optimize for every 90 days or whatever the math is, every couple months, which is very different from the world I grew up in. It's like, well, a product, a business, you build for 5 to 10 years. Publicly traded companies, you're defending the next quarter. So the whole logic and scenarios, like there's what you should do, and there's, well, this is what we should do based on how these people on Wall Street are going to think about it. And I hated it.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is. There's what you should build, how you should build it. But like when you have somebody analyzing this every quarter, it really changes those decisions. It changes those product decisions, how organizations are designed, and the appetite for risk, which there is no appetite for risk. It's a publicly traded company. And so I think that has, I think that's hindered a lot. Yeah, that's the thought behind that.
So let's just say it's 2036, 10 years from now, and you're still writing on LinkedIn. What would a healthy ecosystem look like to you?
As far as LinkedIn, or as far as
the streaming world?
Oh, the streaming world. Oh, what's my 5 to 10 year
entertainment? Like you mentioned that you think Wall Street's hurting it. So what would it look like in 10 years if it was healthy?
Interesting. So this is a plug for an article we're doing today or tomorrow. We actually received a similar question through our little ask a question feature. It's basically like, what's the market look like in 5 to 10 years?
And that's Ask Skip.
That will be skipped. He's working on that one. No, it's not my alter ego. He's working on that one. Yeah, he's not me. Or we had this other one. He's still alive. Streaming Madman. Everyone thought that was me too. It's not me, guys. Yeah. Especially if you read his stuff, like, dude, these guys, well, more so Streaming Madman. That guy's an ad tech wizard. Like, I don't know that shit. Like, it's certainly not me. Like, appreciate the compliments if you think I know this stuff. Like, I can't go down those kind of rabbit holes he does. But yeah. So he's tackling this. So that's interesting. A lot of consolidation. And there's a lot of stuff that I can't wait till that article, I get that initial draft, because I want to see the answer as well. I mean, there's certainly going to be consolidation. There's going to be fewer, bigger players. I think, in the outline, I know we're talking about, the obvious one. So everyone's just going to say no shit anyway, but it's like Netflix, Disney, and we kind of unpack why. Again, none of this is like, oh my gosh, you said the name we didn't know. Amazon or Apple, probably both. And then I think there's like one or two other ones in there. consolidation. And then it's interesting to unpack that from because I have to think about that from a 40 through 20 perspective, meaning everything that's happening in the media entertainment world, that's layer one. That's affecting all the vendors that power the services and products underneath of them. Layer two, and effectively the 40 through 20 works with those vendors. So we're like the third layer order of any impact that's there. So if there's all this consolidation, like how's everybody else in the industry affected? Also, this affects streaming wars too, because what I'm trying to do is highlight these types of companies. I mean, I think there's some, obviously the headline is a bit dire and grim, but I think if we unpack that, which we will, we'll make sure to unpack that in this article, is there's some positivity in there too. And also some how procurement and stuff is going to change. And 5 to 10 years though, if I'm still rating on LinkedIn, we got a problem.
Do you want to make a prediction about Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers. Oh man. I mean, I don't think I can intelligently make a decision on Warner Brothers at this point. Kind of thought it was a Netflix thing, and then I don't know.
Well, probably still it's going to be Netflix.
Yeah.
Although it's very possible if it continues that someone's going to be able to buy the Netflix stock with just straight out, because I think it's dropped by 15% since they've been making these offers.
Yeah, and this is also what I don't love about. I mean, I guess this isn't like media companies running within Wall Street, but like how like somebody's interpretation of what's happening can affect the stock. Like for example, and so many people they're like, hey, give me advice on Roku. Roku's always the stock I get asked for the most. First of all, I'm not a trader guy. I have stock, but I'm not a trader. And also I never can answer the question because I don't understand how these stocks are manipulated. Like for example, I think it was Comcast put out their Flex box. Roku stock took a big dip. That had nothing to do with Roku's business at all. I don't understand how that news can affect the other. And that's why I don't love the Wall Street tie-ins and stuff. I know it's necessary capitalism, all that. I don't like how it affects product design. And it's crazy how like somebody could just interpret news. Like I call it Wall Street overlords. Because they kind of choose what's happening anyway. And then also it's interesting how like secrets get leaked, and I'm sure people are short selling things. That's the stuff. Like that's the streaming wars right there. Like how somebody leaks a Walmart and Vizio announcement 2 days before a Roku earnings call. Like that's a move right there. That didn't happen by accident. Who's talking about that, by the way? We didn't, but who's talking about that stuff?
So moving on, I get to strand everybody on a desert island. It's the best part of the show. Your Desert Island 5 might be the most interesting answer I've ever received, and I'm going to read them back to you. These are the 5 people you wanted on island with you: a survival instructor, a chef, someone who tells great stories, someone who plays literally any other instrument than a guitar. So I think Stings plays every instrument but a guitar, and a therapist. First of all, no family. The first person on the show who did not list a spouse, kids, or parents. Secondly, therapist. Third, you specifically excluded guitar from the acceptable instruments. I have so many questions. I don't know where to start. Why no family? And why no family? And why a therapist?
Why no family? Because that's going to be everybody's answer. Well, aside from family, then that's my obvious. That's my obvious answer. Like family is like you can't even see what that is. Like everything else is down here.
Suffer on an island? I point out to everyone, why would you want your family to suffer with you?
See, I didn't even think that, but you're absolutely right, man. Like I will take a bullet. I will put myself on the island if everybody's on the mainland. So yeah, I like that. Like I didn't want to do family. It's too predictable, too obvious. It's like the antithesis of everything I try to do.
Right. And what's with the anti-guitar? Let's
go that one first. Anti-guitar.
You hate Stairway to Heaven? What is your issue?
So anti-guitar player. That's the next slogan. No, guitar player is because I play guitar. And growing up, I wanted to be in a band. Only musicians I ever came across, they all play guitar. Like, why is everybody gonna play guitar? I got guitars on my wall. Like, I just want to meet a drummer, a bass player, like literally anything. Like, I love ska. Like, give me some horns, give me a trombone, whatever. Like, give me a Rhodes organ. So that's why no guitar player.
I have this PRS behind me right here.
Nice.
See, with bat inlays.
Nice. I got have a Les Paul, Tim Armstrong from Rancid deal. I actually have a banjo down there and a ukulele over here. None of this you can see. But yeah, that's why no guitar player. Obviously, love guitar. Eric Clapton, great. Sing, man, that'd be killer. Love the Police. Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't know. First of all, where are these guitars coming from, right? Like, I'm not promised a guitar on a deserted island. But like, if I can use some palm fronds, maybe you can build a boat string.
You can build a boat out of a
you
guitar.
can build a guitar, like you sure as hell build some drums. I need a drummer on this island too, not just another guy that's trying to make another guitar. So that's why no guitar player.
If you're ever bored, look at Ostron Guitars. He's my nephew. He's in Sweden. He builds custom guitars from some of the most ancient, wonderful trees in the world. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but it's pretty cool.
Kan du prata svenska?
Do I speak Swedish? No.
Yeah. Okay.
I can like Swedish. Say, I know like tack så mycket and stuff like that. I lived in Sweden for a year, but that, it was fun.
Nice. I was there 5 weeks. That's it. At one.
I have to know where's the bathroom? Is my drink drugged? Stuff like that is you have to know.
Yeah. All right. I love Sweden. I'm going to go back soon enough. So next person on my list, a survival instructor. Obviously very important if you're on a deserted island, right? I came across this show randomly and I love it to death, pun intended, I guess, or not, whatever. Dual Survival. It was on Discovery, I believe. And basically they paired like a U.S. Army Green Beret with a wilderness survivalist and they like airdropped them into like dire situations and they had to like get themselves out of it. Like I fell in love with that show to the point like I went camping on a guy's trip and I tried to make a primitive fire out of a
The only survival
saw.
show I'll watch is while someone gets eaten. Like if the Green Beret like killed and ate the other guy, I'd watch that. That'd be interesting.
Man, yeah. I mean that's definitely
this might actually be my
arc.
Second podcast where I make a reference to eating soccer teams.
That's a story arc, and that will demand attention. That's for sure. Next one on my list is chef, because dude, why wouldn't you have a chef? But I mention it specifically because I've had the privilege to have some friends that are chefs or a lot of former chefs. And my God, I think I'm a good cook, and I know other good cooks, but there's something they do. Poise and this effortless how they maneuver in a kitchen is like such an art to watch, and just the food is just like as good as you think you are. Like I think I do phenomenal food. Like they're next level. It's crazy. It's phenomenal. It's such an honor to eat these creations and also just watch them. So like you got to bring a chef, and I love food. I'm very food motivated. So I'm bringing I'll make sure the chef's next to me in seat 3A. So when we go down, he is at least guaranteed on the island. Somebody that tells great stories, because man, it's going to get boring on the island. So I'm thinking like somebody like a Charles Bukowski.
Right.
Like your old drunk grandpa, sort of just kind of ranting and keeping stuff interesting. Somebody tells great stories. I have a question.
Did you actually mean to build Maslow's hierarchy of needs on a desert island? Was that an accident, or did you purposely do that?
Wait. What's this term? I didn't hear it, but
okay, it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like which needs in the world is most important? Look it up some point, like food, sex, other things. You actually you have a storyteller, musician about the quality of life. You have somebody about mental health. You have the chef and the survival instructor. It's very pragmatic. So I guess it wasn't intentional.
No, I mean, I guess it's intentional, subconscious, right? I mean, it's all subconscious. It's all from the heart. It's all like, I don't want to give you the family
your instincts
answer.
Are well organized.
Who would I need? And then obviously a therapist, because I mean, first of all, like we got to break any remaining stigmas we have about mental health. It's as important as physical health. Like I had a shit ass mental health day like 2 days ago. We need that needs to be unpacked and not internalized. And like, it's so important. So somebody to talk through, like, bro, we went through a crash. We're on a deserted island. I presume we crashed to like Lost style. Like we should probably like talk to somebody about all this shit. And we got Bukowski over here, like trying to eat the primitive survival guy. Like we got to unpack this. So like, I definitely need somebody to talk to.
All right. So you chose a therapist, and you also said your superpower wish is to freeze time. So I'm going to connect the two. A man who wants to freeze time and brings a therapist to a desert island is either a man who is processing something very heavy or deeply committed to mental wellness. Which is it, and how does mental health show up in your life as a founder and publisher?
That latter one is the better question. It's also the one when this could be like a whole 6-hour thing. But going back to I'll touch on it if it organically gets there. But like the ability to freeze time. Here's the main reason behind it, why I put that is, for 15 years now, like since I started 16, is it 15? A long time ago, like I started this company, Flow Left. And since then, I've just been running companies I've started and just going, like not time to stop. Give you an example, like something that I could think about every day that I got remembered, because you're like, you read your stuff, you don't really spend much time on other people's things, is like, because I'm running Streaming Wars and because we just need to put out a certain cadence that we have a commitment to ourselves to do. And I need to make sure, like, I guess as an editor, make sure all the stuff's coordinated like that. I'm go on that. Like there's probably like 500 articles I thought were interesting that other people are talking about that are still sitting in a folder, probably unread, just because I'm so go. And this is really just the story of my life for the last 15 years, and just starting an app development company that's going to specialize on Roku back when nobody knew what a Roku was. Everybody called it Roku and didn't understand that the internet was connected to your TV. It's like everything's just go. Like, I don't have time to, obviously we can make time, but like how I'm trying to fire and operate the things I'm going, like I'm just foot on the gas. I don't really have time to stop and think. And Float Left days, it's like we just brought on this big, huge client. I don't have time to stop and think and celebrate that, which I think that is important to do, by the way, but I never did. It's like go, get the next one. So if I had the ability to freeze time and just stop and think and kind of survey what's going on? How can this be improved? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? How could we be better? How can I, like, literally all these questions, like my mind space to just like go and attack. And I don't afford myself, and maybe I should, no matter what, because no matter what, we always have time, whether that's working out or whatever. There's always time. We're just choosing how to prioritize it. Like, but I would, with a superpower, love to just freeze time and just stop and take a look and think and plan and do all that stuff. Because on the other end too, there's so many ideas that people have, either from a company level or an individual level, even if it's like starting their own content marketing. It's like, what about this? What about that? They're thinking, they're planning, they're strategizing, they're overthinking, over planning, over strategizing. And so they won't start that new company. They won't do that LinkedIn content strategy. And so nothing will get done. I'm very much operating on the opposite end of that. And it's probably a middle ground that is probably the best healthy way. But like, that's why I would love to freeze time, because things just are moving so fast for me.
So I have to address the elephant in the room. You have never seen a Star Wars film, and you're 42 years old, and you work in media streaming. 43. Sorry. But your thesis will hold up. So I kind of,
here's my question:
is this how have you avoided the single most referenced franchise in the entertainment industry for 4 decades? And is this a deliberate choice or the world's longest procrastination?
It's a mix of all that. At some point, it became a deliberate decision. But before that, let me start you right there. You mentioned 42 years old. I was 42 before I saw Star Wars. I did actually see one. It was about a year ago. So like I wrote that knowing like this would probably like prompt the conversation.
Has your life changed or no?
It was pretty damn good. It was better than I remembered. So the background is like, I don't know, I probably went like 38 years before even thinking of, well, basically, you go so long without seeing something, you try to make it like it's a badge of courage not to watch it. So, like, I made it through my adult life. Well, I guess the part of my adult life, so still have a lot more to go. But, like, I made it so far without seeing it. Why would I watch it now? And so I'm sure everyone thinks I'm crazy, just like I think my friend Richard, who never saw E.T. and never will for the same reason. So I kind of, guess, borrowed his logic. Well, I've never seen Star Wars. I'm not going to start now. So I was in North Carolina for a few weeks.
Yeah, I hate seeing movies that people say I have to watch. You know what I'm talking about? Like someone says, you got to watch this TV show. I never want to watch it until like a year or two later.
Yeah.
Like everyone told me I should watch The Witcher, and I never watched it. And then I watched it, and I was like, hey, this is actually not bad. And I don't watch much TV. So, pretty good.
Content's great. There's so much content out there. It's ridiculous. And then I do wonder at some point where people just kind of pick their hubs. It's like, yeah, this new one's over at this service, but like, I'm just using this one over here. Like at some point, just, I don't know. There's so much friction and just trying to watch content now. It's crazy. And I do feel partly responsible to that, but
so you did know who Yoda was, though. That's good. So, and you chose Mark.
I always knew who Yoda was, and so like as maybe a young 20-year-old, I did try to watch Star Wars. This is part of the reason too why I went so long, another 20 years, I guess, 2 decades. Is at this point like episode 1, 2, and 3 were out. So obviously I know the first one is episode 4. So my cousin, who's like, I'm an only child, so effectively my cousin is my brother. Grew up with him, like it's my brother.
Like a lot of families,
he's a Star Wars fanatic.
Right.
And so I borrowed all the Star Wars. Like, you know what? I missed out on this thing. I'm not going to be like our buddy Richard who doesn't watch ET. Like, let's watch Star Wars. And I decided upon myself, let me just start with episode 1. Now, like, that probably makes sense. I know it's the later one, but it's like the first one, episode 1. Man, that kind of sucked. It was like robots and it was like artificial intelligence before artificial or augmented reality before augmented reality. It's like, I can't handle humans and robots together. It's kind of corny. And so I stopped it and I'll pick this up when I'm ready for this. This isn't what I was expecting. At some point, my cousin needed his DVDs back. I stopped watching with 2 decades. And then obviously talking throughout the years with this, I've never seen Star Wars and I've heard so many takes from at this point, don't watch it because it's all nostalgia. Then I've had most people are like, dude, you got to start with episode 4. What did you do? Episode 1's the worst. And so like a year ago, I was in the cabin, and I'm like, I asked my son, Kiss, I said, you want to watch Star Wars? He said, yeah, Dad. So we watched Star Wars episode 4. It's pretty good. I haven't watched anyone since, but I went 42 years before watching Star Wars. I've technically seen one. That was only a year ago, though.
Wait, I wanted to talk a little about Mark Yoda. Yes, Mark Echo, who you mentioned is your Yoda. He's a brand builder. He has a major streetwear brand, and he turned graffiti into a billion-dollar business. So what is the one Mark Echo lesson that you carry every day? And does it have anything to do with the fact that you wrap everything?
My lesson from Mark Echo is more like a recent realization, but it's like stuff he's been doing for like decades, like back when I was in high school. But we can unpack what we need to, but like the one lesson that I'm taking with what he's built and he did build a streetwear brand and he also did start Complex magazine. He is also the former owner of this 756 home run ball from Barry Bonds, donated that. Like the lesson I'm running with now with Mark Echo currently is that going back to my 2 worlds I operated in, there's the creative Kirby that probably had some Echo shirts. There's a creative Kirby that probably read Complex magazine. Then there's a business Kirby that kind of put that all away because let's be business, let's be suits and ties, and let's be more this certain way. And then last year and a half or so, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just merge these worlds together. I miss the creative output, I miss that, and let me just do everything. And it the lesson is that you can combine both of those silos, creative and business, into one thing, which it's probably not obvious. And then, his thing kind of thrives on the business of creativity. I kind of box those things, probably unnecessarily, and I'm bringing those back. And there's just all cool stuff. I think as a marketer, he was all about attention from day one, whether it's doing some sort of guerrilla marketing campaign where everything's graffiti and the Las Vegas streets at a trade show to spray painting the Air Force One, which is a stunt. I think it had the government calling them and figuring out what's going on. And my background is I actually did graffiti as a kid and tell you real quick, I love to learn how everybody got involved in that industry. And this is mine real quick if I can. So as I mentioned, the creative Kirby, had a record label in high school, doing music production digitally on the computer, being artistic, doing art, also partaking in graffiti, which is essentially one of the primitive, rawest forms of marketing there is, illegal or not. I appreciate obviously there's a conversation there. And so it's a summer before college. I'm delaying what I want to major in. I just want to skateboard and make music. And so finally, after the summer's nearly over, my mom's like, you need to figure out something.
Did you ever do the flannel phase?
I still do flannels. You gotta do the flannels. But she basically picked out what I'm going to major in college. It was called Interactive Multimedia Productions. And I came home one day. She's like, honey, I signed you up for this because you like computers. That was reference to the music I was doing digitally. And you like art. She didn't say it, but she was referring to the graffiti that I was doing. So this program does digital art, graphic design, user experience. And I was just a kid that just wanted to bang on music and skateboard. I said, cool, it sounds cool, whatever. So I did the class, got really good at UX design, primarily building interfaces, less so logos, which led me to start a Roku app development company. That's how I got into space. A kid that wanted to make music, skateboard, and do graffiti.
Yeah, I want to ask you about businesses. I want to go back to the cardboard box. You were the financial research firm, and the CEO opened a giant box and pulled out the first Roku player, and you described it as a cheese grater meets a disc player. And that is the moment that eventually left to Float Left, which led to the acquisition, led to 4320, which led to the streaming wars. If that CEO had never opened that box, who would Kirby Grimes be today? What was a version of life that did not include streaming?
Ooh, man, I would probably be that's a great question. What I particularly didn't love, and actually, so I started Float Left while at the company for the primary reason is I was not fulfilled. Like I was a really good designer, really good developer. Actually, I did both. And this job I was working at this financial company was not rewarding. It's like literally like anybody could be. AI is probably doing that job now for sure. Like it was not fulfilling and rewarding work. So I met a buddy. I was more on the design side. He was more on the application side, Tom Schaefer. And we come from like web agencies. And we had an idea on how they should be run versus like the ones we were inside of. And so we built Flow Left. And primarily for me personally, it was an outlet where I could do fulfilling work because what I was doing day to day at this financial research company, no knock against the company, just the work was like anybody could do that. Like it wasn't satisfying. Like that was what Flow Left filled for me. And that's how. So when we got involved with Roku, we had to build a Roku app for that financial company. Like it was a 6 app on Roku. This is like no channel sort. There were literally 5 apps, 6 apps on the homepage. And that was your Roku experience. Yeah. And they wanted to build a Roku app there. We thought it was a business idea and it certainly was. It was rough for the first couple years. Had they not opened that, I would probably be 43 years old, working some bullshit. I would probably just be getting my web development work done and clocking out, which to tell you the truth and kind of.
So you might be a barista. You're saying
I could be a barista. Like I could still be a barista, but like going back to the mental health aspects of being entrepreneur, you know what? Just clocking out a 9-to-5 job, building code and leaving work at work sounds really exciting. I have those thoughts all the time. That's just like the headspace any entrepreneur lives on when they're grinding it out. Because I'm the opposite. Like there's no vacation, there's no whatever. Yeah, I'm technically in Sweden for 5 weeks, but like my head's spinning on what's not getting done, what should be doing, what's currently happening. No, this person needs this, that, the other. Like it's emotionally and mentally crazy at times.
So rapid fire, no hedging. The first thing that pops into your mind, the single most overrated thing in the streaming industry right now.
The single most overrated thing in the industry right now. Man, that's good. I'm struggling here. Like I feel like many people want me to say fast. Now it's overhyped. Nobody's making money. I don't have a good answer. And I don't want to break the game. Most underrated. Boom. Product marketing. Actually, product marketing and how companies and organizations should be aligned on single metrics that benefit the business and not operate in little silos with individual KPIs. Because of my work consulting and what I see, like still to this day, like I've not met any dummies at these companies. I've met really smart people, but they operate inside of their little small business units inside of a larger organization. They operate for their own little small business, not for the org. And they're not aligned on what success looks like. And there's disconnect at this point, I don't even know what the direct-to-consumer dream is. Like, I had high hopes for it, but again, publicly traded companies, that's kind of hard. But like, the most undervalued is the aspect of when there's a product handoff to marketing and customer journey and product marketing that is so untapped that like every company, Netflix included, with how they're operating their digital or their direct-to-consumer products. Still to this day, and I tried to consult on that a while ago, but like, it's still the biggest area. If anybody still has direct-to-consumer aspirations in this business, or they just want to be affiliate wholesalers, I don't know. But like, there's still so much opportunity there that's untapped.
So if 22-year-old Kirby saw you today running agency, publishing a newsletter, talking about ad formats on this podcast, what do you think? You're cool or disappointed you're not a rapper?
No, he would. I always wanted to be a business owner. I don't know if it's even entrepreneur. I personally don't love the word entrepreneur because to me, it just brings up that memories. But I get that's what I am. And also I think it's over glorified because all we hear are the great success stories, not all the pain and the blow ups. I would be super proud of what I'm doing. Like, shoot, there's 2 companies I'm running. 22-year-old Kirby would think that's cool. And obviously if 22-year-old Kirby would do his homework, he also sees that, wait, he's rapping on LinkedIn? What? That's crazy.
Yeah, you're still a rapper. I mean, you do rap still. Still rap. I mean, there's a Spotify profile and it's crazy. It's last question.
Yeah, so I'd be
10 years from now, again, you are my age. The stream industry is $1 trillion. The stream wars is still publishing. 4320 is still building brands. You have not watched Star Wars yet. or anymore. When you look back at this decade, the decade that helped shape you by building the first apps, publishing analysis, and marketing companies, what would need to be true for you to say, I changed how people think about this industry? What is on the scoreboard?
I mean, how I change the industry is, probably the a really good thing I love to hear, and it really is a measure on the work we're doing. And thankfully, like there's quite a bit of that this week. Is just like a lot of times we're like, also like, to be honest, like I am like, I'm day to day not really in this business like I was. Like there's things happening I'm not privy to.
Right.
There's things we write on, and so as much as things have changed, things have not changed as well. So like we write about, like our big thing is like not just like doing the who or what, but the why. And so like we'll write, sometimes they're uncomfortable whys. It's never like out of ill intention. It's ultimately one of our goals is to challenge the industry. And we'll get feedback like, you know what, like we've been dealing with this for years, and I'm glad somebody's actually bringing this to light, because this is a pain in our ass. Like, but those people can't say that because there's face you got to save. You can't say how like a certain platform is like kind of strong arm on you, because you can't put that. You can't be public with that, but I can. And I will, and it's never out of bad taste or ill intention. It's all about just creating a better industry, and ultimately also just knowledge transfer as well. That would be another thing that makes it successful. I think of our industry, and I don't know a whole lot of other industries, but I have little views in other ones. They do a better job knowledge transferring from like, how do we succeed as an industry? I feel like in general, our industry is very tight-lipped and secretive. I don't know how the advertising or ad tech world is, but like in media entertainment, everyone's so tight-lipped on what they're doing and what they're building. And I think most of us can agree. Most companies are just copying Netflix anyway, which ironically has an engineering blog that says what they're doing and how they're thinking. I've had friends from, my friends at these orgs are mainly like your product and marketing people that are day-to-day running these businesses. I've had people, this is no joke, like call me up like, hey, we're trying to figure out this rendezvous linking thing for Roku. I know everybody's figured this out already. Nobody knows this. Nobody understands this at my job, and I don't know anybody else I could speak to about it. Can you connect me? And a lot of what I want to do is connect people to people, learn from each other, build a better community. When we have this industry directory thing, it's like, and a lot of times people are like, hey, I need to build a Samsung app. Who should I talk to? Or like, we need to tour video infrastructure. Like, I'm cool to have these conversations, but like part of what the streaming wars is a resource. Like, go to the directory. There's companies there. Just go there. I want to make everybody a little more enabled, empowered, and a little smarter about what's happening. I think you say this too. I love what you do. Like, be the smartest one in the room. And that's how this whole like news thing that I'm banging on now, like actually got started back in 2009 when I started Float Left. Is like, I want to be informed about the world we're building these products and services in. And that's something I did for myself in 2009 at Float Left, and how I'm operating the Streaming Wars product as it is today.
So we've covered broken publishing, thought leadership, streaming wars, deadline therapy, Star Wars avoidance, and rapping about media. Before we're done, is there anything you wish I had asked you?
Man, you did a great job. I'm sure I can think of something when I'm going to work out later. But no, man, like everything about this was like great. A great experience the whole thing from top to bottom has been great. You've been great. You've asked great questions. I'm sure there's future conversations. And yeah, like I said, like, hopefully I can't think of anything now, but maybe I'll think of something, but like,
we get to test your dance skills.
I don't dance. Dude, I'm the wallflower at the club. Like, here's the thing too. I'll dance for you if you need a dance. Like,
They ask what I change if
That was Kirby Grimes, founder of 4320, publisher of the Streaming Wars, and the only guy in media who will rap about bundles on LinkedIn. Go find him, go read him, go listen to the music. Shout out to our sponsors, Troutman Amin LLP, the law firm that speaks fluent ad tech, so you don't have to explain what a pixel is for the 9th time, and Incremental.com, proving that we think it's working is not a measurement strategy. Go support the people who support the show. This has been the ADOTAT Show. I'm Pesach Lattin. We'll see you next time.
Kirby, builder, other things, pizza dog, a record label.